Hello, this is Ram and you're listening to Ram Speaks. Today, I watched a rather curious video on Facebook called The Atheist Delusion. Here is a gist of what happens in the video. A person, let's call him Jim, goes to different people asking them if they were atheists. The people answer, yes. Jim hands them a color-printed picture book and asks them if the book created itself. If the colors somehow fell from the sky, creating those pictures, and then black ink fell from somewhere or nowhere, forming those letters with the right capitalization, punctuation, and all of that. Obviously, they say it would be stupid to think so. Then, Jim goes on to ask them what the DNA is. One says the DNA is the instruction code for the cells, so they could form a certain way. Jim mentions how the strands of DNA, if stretched out, could go all the way to the sun and be back, or something along those lines. And then he says, well, if you think the book could not create itself, how could the DNA, which is the instruction code for every living being on Earth, create itself? Then he asks, do you mean to say everything came from nothing? He even mentions Richard Dawkins in his statement to one of the participants and shows a clip of a video where Professor Dawkins tells the audience how the concept of nothing created everything defies common sense. And then he says, don't you think there is an intelligent being behind this intelligent design? Do you think the entire universe happened by accident? Do you think your DNA happened by accident? In the end, he tells you that the intelligent being created you and that you're not a blob that came from nothing, but you're someone with meaning and a purpose. How uplifting. There sure is an intelligent creator, right? Am I an atheist? No. Being an atheist, according to me, is as much arrogant as claiming the existence of God. Neither helps scientific thought, and I'm not 100% sure that there is no God. But at the same time, I'm also not 100% sure that there is a God. But let's keep my thoughts aside and look at it in perspective, because I think Jim's argument is a lousy way of selling the concept of God. Imagine a world where someone has no idea about what science is. Science is already hard to understand to many, because simple questions appear to have complex explanations. Imagine a world where we go about doing what we do, working towards something tangible, chasing happiness and peace. Imagine how utterly upsetting the fact is that we would one day become a bag full of lifeless organic matter. But if someone told us that we could resurrect, that would be an incentive for us to work towards making the world a better place than the one we came into, so we could reap the benefits of it when we return. Now, thinking that we all came into being by accident is overwhelmingly difficult to imagine. And so is the fact that we took millions of years to get to where we are. But let me be the devil's advocate. No pun intended. Just because we have no explanation for that everything came from nothing, can we conclude that some divine intelligence created us? What makes Jim so sure of it? Or even that we're a product of intelligent design? If so, who created the intelligent designer? Did the intelligent designer come out of nothing? Is that not absurd? Or did it come out of itself? Or did the intelligent designer exist even before existence? That makes no sense to me either. Also, exposing the thoughtlessness on part of the participants in comparison with Jim does not make Jim right. Most people do not even think about all this that often. Most so-called atheists are so because they do not connect with organized religion, or they cannot come to terms with half-baked explanations about God. Like science, metaphysics or theosophy are also not everyone's cup of tea. And the inability of those interviewed to answer what was an interview based on fallacies does not equate to their skepticism being baseless. Natural phenomena work in a certain way. Bookmaking works against the process. Now that's a loaded sentence, and the explanation to it would probably require a book, not necessarily in color, by the way. Bookmaking happens instantly as opposed to evolution. Evolution has taken millions of years to get to this stage. If you can wait and watch for so long while something new evolves, sure. I could even give you some examples, such as the coronavirus, but I don't see that being so productive. Science works on evidence. It has no problem accepting its failures. Science does not have answers to everything, but it's trying every moment to find better answers. Science makes statement based on evidence and a specific process. You or anyone can verify those for yourselves. Of course, some studies need resources that not everyone has, but science has other ways to prove it, within the boundaries of mathematics and logical reasoning. Science does not take a shortcut to declare any non-existence of answers as a work of God. Science questions. Science is the opposite of a Moses declaring that he saw the God and the God said what he said and that there is no questioning it. Science is comfortable with new evidences against a theory, and mind you, a theory in science is different from the colloquial sense of the word. In that manner, science would also be comfortable if evidence of the existence of God comes out. Science would not sulk. It wouldn't execute or burn down the evidence. It would just accept, of course, until new evidence comes out that finds faults in the evidence that's gathered so far. Science is not afraid of being wrong. Now, the Cardinal himself says in the video, questioning distinguishes us from the animal. And here is my question. Is this intelligent design? Are we a product of an intelligent design? We're a great design, but are we so intelligently made, as Jim implies? Could an intelligent designer create a being which is inefficient and imperfect? If you have to say that such is his way of making us realize him, I'd call him a rather self-absorbed, insecure intelligent designer. Before you get offended and ask someone to take down this podcast episode, remember this is merely an argument to make Jim's better. And before I wind up, Jim mentions in the video, origins don't matter. If they did not matter, his entire conversation about the existence of an intelligent being that created us is moot. Second, if you look at the complete video, the video that Jim talks about, the one with Richard Dawkins in it, the Cardinal cops out on the question on whether God is an intelligent designer. Even if there were an intelligent being, who said that kneeling in front of this being and folding hands and chanting something in a language that the being probably does not even understand would help us? But that question is for another rabbit hole discussion. For now, thank you for listening so far, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day.